While being something that influences everyone on such a micro scale every day, color can sometimes be overlooked. On first dates, we might ask, "What's your favorite color?" Or when deciding what shirt to wear with what pants, we might base it on color coordinating. The color of a vehicle might even be the deciding factor in such a large purchase. Color seems to be a factor when it comes to active decision making, but in our subconscious decisions, we seem to not acknowledge the influence of it as much. About 12 million Americans cannot see color as your quote-unquote average person sees it. How does that affect their subconscious? Some animals see colors beyond our capability as humans, and others barely see at all. Why is there such a variety of vision not only across species, but within our own human race? In order to dive into some of these topics, I think it would be best to define what color really is. The aspect of any object that may be described in terms of hue, lightness, and saturation. This is how the Encyclopedia Britannica defines color. They further define the word in physics terms by saying it is associated specifically with electromagnetic radiation of a certain range of wavelengths visible to the human eye. This radiation makes up the portion of the electromagnetic spectrum known as the visible spectrum. These are the colors that us humans can see. We all remember learning about the colors of the rainbow through different mnemonics: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. These 7 colors roughly cover what is considered the visible light spectrum. These wavelengths are measured in nanometers. Red is about 740 to 625 nanometers. Green is about 560 to 520 nanometers. And violet covers about 435 to 380 nanometers. You might be wondering just how they measure something that seems so vast and yet metrically is so small. Scientists use a device called a spectrometer that reflects light several times in order to accurately measure each specific color. Most of these devices cost anywhere from a few hundred to tens of thousands of dollars. These scientific definitions are good and all, but what about the colors that measure below 380 nanometers? How about above 740 nanometers? Well, if you go too far in either direction, you reach waves that are not even considered colors anymore. The further on the spectrum that the wave gets, you start to run into microwaves and radio waves. The closer these waves get together, you start to get more harmful X-rays and gamma rays. But before both sides of the extremes, we get infrared and ultraviolet rays. As mentioned, we as humans cannot see infrared or ultraviolet rays. These areas of the spectrum technically have color that us humans are incapable of seeing. This is an example of how the world has electromagnetic waves that are not visible to us. There are also many hypothetical colors that we will never be able to see based upon our biology. Since our color receptor cones have photopigments that are based upon red, green, and blue, there are some colors that we cannot physically comprehend. Some of these quote-unquote forbidden colors include red, green, or yellow-blue. Our eyes cannot determine certain colors, which creates a gap in perceivable palettes. This limitation is purely caused by our physical receptors. This means that we hypothetically could have a technology that gives us a cone or adapts our current cones to be more fluid. Technology such as this could also open up the world to colors that no humans could even imagine. There is also a chance that the color you see as pink could be blue to another person. They may also call it pink and be able to identify pink accurately, but it is perceived to be the same hue as what you would call blue, which they might just see as something else entirely. One very interesting example of a color that is beyond our normal human comprehension is the finding of Olo. Olo is a very intense shade of green that can only be seen by shooting lasers into someone's retina to isolate the response of the M-cone cells. This test only proves the idea that our physiology creates some limitations in terms of what we are able to see. Some of the images that I'm showing are of a color that most represents what Olo would look like. But of course you cannot have a picture of Olo because a shade is not perceivable without the assistance of technology. These lasers are not harmful, of course, they just activate those specific cones in one's retina to expose this amazing color. The name Olo comes from the color's theoretical LMS color space coordinates 0, 1, 0. Olo is a very recent discovery in the world of color science. April of 2025 was when scientists at UC Berkeley discovered and named the color. Only 5 people have been able to successfully see Olo in its full glory. Now what about those who see less color than the average person? How about those who have colors blended together? The world of colorblindness is one that is often misinterpreted, overlooked, and stereotyped. You are highly likely to interact with someone who has some form of colorblindness on a daily basis. This can range from deuteranopia, tritanopia, protanopia, or anywhere in between. These forms of colorblindness are often caused by weak cone cells, or in more extreme cases, missing cone cells. About 12 million Americans currently have some form of colorblindness. This pales in comparison to countries such as India and China, who have tens of millions of colorblind citizens. Most forms of colorblindnesses are linked to the X gene that can be passed down through parents. Even though this is genetically possible, you often won't find a direct link from parent to child, but further separated generations are likely to continue some form of colorblindness. As human beings, we are fascinated with the whole spectrum of colors. Whether we are painting our homes or choosing what shoes we are wearing for the day, we are thinking about color. Many companies put their color of the year out every year. One of the biggest companies that does this is Pantone. Pantone is considered the rule maker in the world of paints. They set standards that the rest of the paint world has to follow. Some of their previous colors of the year included honeysuckle, emerald, very perry, and classic blue. As you can see, these colors vary from very simple to super specific. They have even gotten into controversy over their colors. 2026 color of the year was Cloud Dancer. Many fans who waited all year for the color to be announced were very disappointed. Even for those with the most keen eye, Cloud Dancer was very arguably just white. Another giant that has had their hands in the color of the year game is Sherwin-Williams. Although they do not set any standards, they are one of the most iconic names in the paint industry as a whole. Seeing the outrage of society when a color is announced that they disagree with shows just how much they mean to us as a group. So as humans are infatuated with color, how do our animal counterparts see color? The animal kingdom has adapted each species with their own unique vision. Even though not every human sees color equally, there is an average that we can consider the norm for human vision. In this same way, scientists have looked at animals and determined what they can see in terms of colors. Man's best friend sees a very muted version of what us humans typically can. They can mainly see shades of blue and yellow, so buying toys that are bright shades of either of these can increase interest and stimulation. There is a popular myth that bulls get angry when they see the color red, but bulls and cows are practically fully colorblind and react purely on movement. So when these bullfighters are waving that red cloth in the wind, the animal's reacting purely on the movements and not at the color at all. Not all animals have poor color vision though. There are some that survive by seeing specific colors in nature. Monkeys and squirrels use color to determine if fruits and nuts are ripe or not. They can also determine which fruits are what through these colors. Water animals typically have good color vision. This is why when a fisherman chooses their lures, the color they choose can determine if they have a successful catch or not. A select few animals have color vision that is beyond what us humans can see. The animals that fall into this category are mostly insects that look for brightly colored flowers to pollinate. Bees are prime examples of this supervision, and this is shown when they chase down anyone at a picnic who has unfortunately chosen to wear a brightly colored shirt or dress. There are also animals that have sacrificed their color vision for the enhancement of other ways to feel out their environment. Some animals use thermal detection like snakes, and others use echolocation. These adaptations are all uniquely tailored based upon the animal's environmental needs. The world of color has been used in art, business, and all other aspects of life to influence emotions or survive in the wild. Even at times where you don't notice it, color is affecting your life. A director's choice to put a certain shade over a movie can completely change the vibe of the film. A poet can use 2 different color adjectives to create 2 different poems entirely. If you wake up every day surrounded by white walls and dull light, you might just feel yourself going crazy. If you wake up in a vibrant house with intricate art all over your walls and colorful flowers and vases in every room, you might just find more beauty in your life. God created the rainbow as a sign of His covenant to us, and it shows in perfectly personal ways through every single one of our eyes. Thank you everyone for watching, and please leave a comment if you have any more interesting facts about the world of color beyond our own eyes.